welcome to I'mPossible Live. Welcome back if you're joining us again. And if you're joining us again, you know the routine. Introduce yourself in chat. Let us know a way that we can help you in between our impossible lives. And I am so delighted to welcome today's guest back. Amazing Louisa was our first guest on I'mPossible Live 3 years ago. How about that for a good one? The girl from the Bronx, the introvert. I basically, Louisa and I met in Bryn Tillman's amazing social sales link and now her Ask SSL.ai community. And Bryn Tillman, grateful for you for joining me earlier this month for a Trust Masterclass. A good chance to hang out with Bryn, but in Bryn's amazing community, there was amazing Louisa. There's fantastic voice. And I was like, wow, I really adore this woman. I love her energy. I'd like to hang out with her. And then, I signed up for LinkedIn Live, probably at the suggestion of a member of Bryn's community about 3.5 years ago. And I was afraid to go live on LinkedIn. And here was amazing Louisa. Hi, Adrian. How are you? Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. So, Adrian, this is to you. This is to Louisa. This is to Bryn. And this is to everybody else joining us for the celebration. I'm the virtual toast girl because of my aunties. But it was hard to decide to go live. And Louisa helped me plan it. We set up a meeting to talk about what were we going to talk about. And I knew Louisa, such an amazing speaker and a dynamic, talented woman and an author with her PhD. And I said, I've got to prepare before Louisa joins me. So I went live the first week. Then Louisa joined me for the second week. Then I went live the third week. And Louisa joined me the fourth week. Hey, Adrian. Hey, Lisa. Warm welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. In that process of setting up what we would talk about, Louisa was brilliant. She helped slow the girl from the Bronx down, the teacher's kid. Louisa said, these are complex topics. We should talk twice. So on March 21st and in the first week of April in 2022, amazing Louisa joined me. Now let's give you a chance to get to know amazing Louisa. Hey, Marie. My sister from another mother, thank you all for joining us. And thank you, Louisa. Let the world learn about wonderful you. And please, Lois, good evening from the Netherlands. And thank you all for joining us for celebrations, lots of virtual toasts. Louisa, let's let the world know about you and some of your amazing magic.
Well, thank you so much, Mel. I think we were destined to meet. I think it was in the stars. You give me so much credit, but I also think that it was all inside you, already. So, but let me tell, the audience a little bit about me. I think by now you hear my accent. And this accent comes to you via Brazil, where I was born and raised. Sometimes I like to joke that this is my Minnesota nice accent because that's where I am. But that's not the case. I came here to pursue my graduate studies, and then life happened. And I'm still here. Sometimes I joke this is the longest study abroad on record because I came as a student and I'm still here. But I've had an amazing, privileged life, especially professional life that I'm talking about. I've had the opportunity to work in different parts of the world by virtue of the positions that I've held. I've worked in Ukraine, in Spain, in Japan, in Puerto Rico. and I've met, visiting scholars and scientists from all over the world. I often think of myself as I'm Brazilian by birth, but multicultural by choice. So I started work in the area of cultural differences and cultural competence development. That was my my research focus, what I was teaching, what I was writing. And it's something that I still do, and I absolutely love doing it. But I also realized that it was not enough. Knowing about differences is not enough. You also have to create environments where all individuals feel that included, feel that they belong. So instinctively, I started, I think, like a true Gemini. I work in both areas. I have two different areas. I work in the area of cultural differences impacting the workplace, and in the area of DEI, where I work with organizations wanting to create inclusive environments. So that's where I am now. I have, a couple of years ago, I started my own company, Mastering Cultural Differences, wrote a book. I have a digital course, and trying to make a difference in this world, especially right now. I think we are needed because we're so divided. There's so much pain. There's so much pushback. And I do a lot of writing. I think I get angry. Mel was the one of the articles the last article that I wrote about, which is in my LinkedIn newsletter. Those of you, who would like to connect with me, I would welcome, that opportunity to be connected with you. I have a LinkedIn newsletter called, Building Better Workplaces, because I think that's what it's all about. And then one of the last articles was about DEI is why, because I was so angry. So I get angry and I write. I think that's the way it calms me down. Although Mel saw the anger in the article, it's just trying to keep centered and to keep going, especially in such a difficult time right now for those of us in the arena, in the area where we're trying to create inclusive environments for everyone. But I was telling Mel, my music of choice is I Won't Back Down by Tom Petty, and I'll keep going. I'll keep going. So let me stop now.
You don't ever have to stop. You were our amazing first guest. And a warm welcome also to Tiffany Velvet English, who's in the house, and Kimberly Lechnick. And warm welcome for the first time, Leslie Flowers, Jonathan, my love, and Ronnie. And I'm smiling because Jonathan and Exquisite Eve, as I call her, who designs a lot of our amazing graphics, they're the ones who helped me discover needed to show up more on social media. And Louisa, you never have to apologize about the anger. One of our recent guests, Ali, Coach Alpha, Ali helped pick the title, The Alchemy of Anger, for our
Mhm.
session together. It's a reminder, as you helped us understand, there's so many emotions in the world. And as there are people in the world, different cultures, different generations, and Ronnie saying yes, and Kimberly saying sounds like passion. I think we all show up, and we all show up with some different energy. And in our audience and who are joining us today, definitely check out amazing Leslie Flowers and Lisa Fevek. They run lives on LinkedIn. Kimberly Lechnick, lives on LinkedIn. Jonathan, amazing podcasts. Jonathan, my signature style, Jonathan. My Jonathan, my brave, brave Jonathan, our brave Jonathan. And some of the things is we all have different talents. And Kimberly will laugh. I keep shouting out her the power of the moment community. We need to keep coming together to connect. Welcome also Sandra. And Sandra popped into our Trust Masterclass series. And you know what? It wasn't for you, Louisa. As Jonathan would say, I wouldn't have started I wouldn't have started going live regularly. It's almost a joke that this introvert, this girl from the Bronx who really didn't treasure her voice, who really probably you'll say, and Jonathan, you're going to laugh, this magnet was on our refrigerator during the pandemic. It's impossible. And I talked to my mom about it, and my mom said, the magnet's okay, but it looks like impossible. You don't see the apostrophe. So we made the P capitalized. And amazing Jonathan designed this amazing, beautiful leaf that I fell in love with. And he so patiently, he and Eve just holding space because I'm the girl you don't want to play Pictionary with. And as part of celebrations, I hope you dance. For those of you who are watching live, happy St. Patty's Day. And for those of you who are joining us from other countries on replays, on other cultures, who are inviting other people in to just pop in and celebrate, as Louisa's saying, we're all feeling some kind of way. Mm-hmm. And in the beginning, this Mel didn't know how to acknowledge that. Grateful, positive intelligence led to ignite trust. But as I'm finishing positive intelligence, and Marie and I, we went through a pod in a cohort. So you'll see that we use hashtag mental fitness. I consider it mental fitness for life because it helped build on some emotional intelligence stuff. But as Louisa's saying, we need our music to keep going. You'll notice it in today's song title, I Hope You Dance. You'll notice it in We Got the Power, which Stacy suggested a couple of weeks ago. And amazing Carla, so like Jonathan, she joins us live on screen for her 2-year celebration of 100 episodes of I'mPossible Live. Carla's going to join us as a guest. Carla picked Girl on Fire by Alicia Keys. We need something to help put some pep in our step. For me, this magnet was a time where I first had the courage to take steps for an AIDS vaccine walk in honor of people. For those of you who know me now as the chair dancing Mel, at one point we walked 3 days. The goal was to walk 60 miles. I, of course, as I got up to 36, 37 miles a week, found out I had arthritis in the knees. A surgeon was ticked off. He says, I can't help you. And I'm like, oh, he says, you have arthritis. I said, both my parents have arthritis. Fantastic. Welcome to the family. What I laughed was, Louisa, he said, you need to avoid walking on hills. I said, oh, okay, no problem. But as Louisa would say, Louisa helped me figure out some of the inclines in our cultural insights, which was our first live, in inclusive leadership, helped me kind of figure out, as Jonathan would say, who do you want to hang out with? As Tiffany asked me, as we're planning, and Carol Stokes, warm welcome to I'mPossible Live. And Carol, you are so right. Music can be PQ repping. So you'll see me all the time. Positive intelligence helps us explore self-command, narratives, some of the saboteurs that are in our head. And as I would say to beautiful Louisa, you're not angry alone. We all have our minutes. We all have our days. Louisa is an amazing writer. Wait till you check out her newsletter. Behind her, she has a fantastic, fantastic book. And we'll share that in the links also. But look amazing Louisa up as an author. And Louisa, as we're here today celebrating 3 years, and Louisa's like, Mel, I can't take the credit. You lit the spark, you lit the candle, you lit the path, you encouraged the girl to practice. I need to get ready for Louisa, you know? And as Louisa will laugh behind the scenes, Jonathan, as she watched me put on lipstick because Exquisite Eve will say, you must show up as lipstick with lipstick. Sometimes we are, sometimes we're not. But for those who are joining us, and thank you for giving each other a warm welcome. Check each other out on the chat, especially in LinkedIn. And Marie Vega Byrne is joining us from Facebook. Thank you for being here, my sister from another mother, who in a couple of weeks will raise funds for Fearless Hudson Valley. We've been on the board for a while, but Louisa helped me not be afraid of the word inclusive. In her use of it, Louisa, you helped me learn that there was a seat for Mel at more tables. Louisa, for those in workplaces and leadership who are stuck, and we mentioned the anger, we mentioned the emotions, we mentioned how we started. You light us up with your newsletter because you keep going. You've been in these trenches for a long time. Where, other than great music, where would you suggest we start these days? To take a step. We did it 3 years ago. It appeared easier.
Mm-hmm. I would say this is a hard question, but find the best way to share your voice. It could be, it's whatever works for you. To me, it's through writing. That's something that I'm passionate about, that I love doing, and where I can find, where I can change minds, or spark interest or inspiration. So to me, it's my writing and where I've been focusing now. I wrote about DEI. And like I said, I do it on both sides, both at the global and the domestic side, so to speak. I think my next newsletter will be on how writing emails to global audiences. Because, there's a lot of things that you have to pay attention to. My newsletter in my website, my blog, the DEI Plus blog, there's my next one will be focusing how do you protect your international workers, because there's a lot of industries in our country these days that depends on international workers. What do you do when you have a client, for example, in the nursing home industry or assisted living, who will say, I don't want you, I want an American? What do you do as a director, as the CEO? How do you protect that worker, and at the same time work with the audience? So I was last night, I was actually developing activities for this industry. If you want to help your audience, work better together with your international employees. What kinds of things, can you do? I developed, I had a bingo, a storytelling activity. So my creative, I think that the bigger the challenge, my creativity just starts flowing, and I come up with all sorts of things. Sometimes my creativity is a detriment, because but I come up with some great ideas. So I actually forgot the question now.
You're actually in the perfect lane, because You're reminding us to show up and be creative. You're reminding us to lead in. You're reminding us to find inspiration. And as Ronnie's saying, and thank you, beautiful Ronnie. Ronnie, you could come join us for Impossible Live. You'll be proud of me. We're starting to have pre-recorded lives thanks to Martin Stark and Martin, the Courage Champion, who was our first pre-recorded. You let me know, Ronnie, when works for you. We will get a time. And the same for you, Lois, across time zones. But Ronnie says, thank you, Dr. Louisa, for being light to my dear Mel. Because of you, I get to know my dear friend Mel. Thank you for showing up, Mel. Introverts unite. Louisa, it's a reminder, and it's not an accident that you're here today, because Jonathan would say it from last year. Last year, we had a party for our 2 year anniversary. You'll find also, with some transparency, that 2 year party is not on YouTube yet. Carla Sellers will remind me to put it there shortly, but it's not there because behind the scenes, some stuff was happening that didn't necessarily align with Mel today, who is wearing yellow in honor of my pop. And last year, Pop had some. We had we had a really challenging day, the 2 year anniversary. So as Ronnie says, we talk about the light and we can see the light in each other. And I could see that day in Louisa's newsletter. I wanted to reach out to Louisa and remind her she was loved, she was appreciated, she was treasured, she is an inspiration. I am so thankful for her and her voice, because I won't back down is such a suitable thing. See, I think of Brenda Russell, Justice and Truth, which one of my one of my go-tos. And Rochelle Farrell has a song, How Can We Have Peace? And another song that I really love that gives me great, great inspiration is No More Drama by Mary J. Blige. It's the reminder, not today. And I think that's the thing, as we're having these conversations. And I hope you dance. We hope you dance. We hope you find some energy to lift you up, something to help you keep on going the same way beautiful Louisa has helped me keep on going for 3 years. She wouldn't believe it, but she was around from the beginning. She's like, go live? What are we going to do? And we use StreamYard, and I had been using StreamYard on Meta, but you'll laugh because of Louisa, Carla Sellers is still here 3 years in, 3 years deep, editing content and putting it on our YouTube. But the funniest part, Louisa, when you and I first went live, I had 40 videos hidden on YouTube. Now there's about 120. Now, the ones that are hidden, y'all will say, they're my parents dancing. And I was reminded of that by a wonderful comment the other day from a dear friend, and family stuff. But the reminder, show up where we can, show up in the way we can, in a way, whether it's comfort, whether it's style. Um, just keep showing up. There's somebody who needs to hear your voice. Louisa will laugh because I have her book and I'm not reading it until she signs it. And I teased Yvette Bethel of Interconnectivity, Flow, and Balance, my trust thought leader. I have her book. I'm not reading it until she autographs it. Why? Because an amazing mentor years ago, Sandy Scapatello, my one woman super welcome into Business Networking International, BNI.com. Hey, Cheryl, welcome back, beautiful. It takes a village. And just like Louisa's here today, reminding us in our village, Cheryl's here today, one of the queens in my spiritual village. Thank you, my dear love, for our conversation last week. And we need others to light us up because we need to balance somewhere the alignment of our what we're thinking, what our values are, where how do we want to show up? I mean, if you're not sure what to do tomorrow, check out Kimberly's Power of the Moment. If you're not sure what to do later today, check out Leslie Flowers' Mind Over Mondays. Check out Lisa Fevek's Lives Tomorrow. Check out their books. Check out their gems. Buy one for someone you love. Send them a Kindle. Share your Audible. And part of it is Jonathan says, don't call myself an introvert. And Jonathan, I love you. Introvert core. Martha, happy Monday. Welcome. We've got some amazing flavor in the house. A lot of beautiful first timers. Thank you so much for just lighting us up. And Martha led an amazing discussion. Martha and Mac. If you're on LinkedIn, Social Saturday Chat is a really cool place to be. They also have podcasts for those of you who love to listen to your gems. And Kimberly's thanking me for shout outs. Kimberly, please put a link to Power of Community in the chat again. Put it out. And Lisa and Leslie, put links so people can find the inspiration. So hopefully we'll all dance, even if it's just for seconds. Amazing Louisa, your next newsletter, you said. You gave a hint there. Your next newsletter. What inspires your newsletters as you're dancing? Is it music? Is it stories? Is it experiences with your client? What is helping you create this amazing content?
Honestly, I am teaching diversity management this semester, something that I absolutely love doing. I love teaching. I think I'm a teacher by heart. And in preparing my classes for my students, as I'm doing the background reading, sometimes I finish a chapter and I have 4 articles, outlined. I get inspirations from my readings, and I think and I love that. One of my upcoming, I also write I'm a guest writer for the Inclusion Solution, and my next article will be focusing on Asian Americans and the history of discrimination that they've suffered. So I'm sharing that in the role that the EEOC played in supporting them, in preventing discrimination. And now where we are headed with the new EEOC from this administration, which is basically now millions and millions of employees and job seekers will not have the same level of support. So I find inspiration from my readings and what it's needed to shed some light on. I think that's where I focus.
I love that. And I'll say that because in the process of writing a book and at the same time working on Advanced Trust Facilitator project. And I thanked Yvette Bethel today before she joins us tomorrow in a series of trust master classes. It's called Cedar. And cedar has some spiritual roots, but cedar about the tree and how, as we're building lasting relationships, we're trying to build communities. We're trying to amplify impact in cultures and communities across genders, generations, identities. So cedar is the acronym CEDAR, and it's all around trust. It's cultivate trust. It's explore trust. It's develop trust. It's activate trust. And it's rejuvenate trust. And The thing that's interesting is two of those are positive intelligence, mental fitness, superpowers. So Shanti Joy Gold joined us last week in Explore Trust and Develop Trust. And tomorrow in Audio Leadership Club, Gardner's community, Yvette will join us for Activate Trust and Replenish Trust. And the last week we'll talk about identify your trust opportunities. Why am I mentioning that? Because underneath this, if I hadn't met this amazing woman in Bryn Tillman's community, Jonathan would laugh. I would have let the LinkedIn Live button just kind of sit there. I would have let it sit there. There wouldn't be an I'mPossible Live. This magnet that is no longer on our old refrigerator because it can't go on the stainless steel refrigerator. If mom hadn't say, make the I'mPossible big so people understand it. But for those of you who are here and joining us, what do you have, Louisa? What do you got? Oh my gosh. Woo, mic drop.
I found this, a couple of years ago, and I said, wow, I need this. Actually, I was with some girlfriends, and we kind of fought for this. I said, no, I have to have this. I'm sorry, you have to pick something else, but it was the only one in the store. And I said, no, I need this. So I keep it as a reminder
I love that.
everything is possible.
For those who may be visually impaired or your text reader couldn't read Louisa's beautiful sign, it said, I'mPossible is just an opinion. You remind me of an amazing gift from Tara Siglione, who is Tara, I apologize if I'm butchering your name. I have to tag it. Tara takes the most beautiful photos of pets and people that you have ever seen. And Tara gave me an I'mPossible magnet. I have it attached to my laptop. And it's a reminder we need to surround ourselves with things that inspire us: music, people, energies, each other, communities. We can't do this alone. What you're going to laugh at is in a couple of weeks, Tiffany will be here with us to talk about the power of community. And I want to thank y'all as you're doing the music to keep reminding us of songs to add as potential song titles. When people are joining us, I'm like, let's brainstorm oil, and people are suggesting songs. And Stacy Casson, bless her, who joined us a couple of weeks ago and brought our first ASL, American Sign Language interpreter, to I'mPossible Live. Stacy suggested 5 or 6 songs. And Stacy's like, this child is picky. And I was teasing, does it match with I'mPossible, with your definition of I'mPossible, with an invitation to you to show up, to speak out, to step out? Louisa and I are having a conversation, not scripted, not planned, but shared with love, shared with grace. And I think that's what it's all about. We really need to make time to be active and deep listeners. Oh, Marie, we have to pre-record that. I love that song. I love that song. My sister from another mother, I love that song. I have a Celine Dion shirt, Marie. We went to see her twice. Until the second time, I almost cried. I got to watch, we were so close, I got to watch her lip sync to my favorite song. $200 tickets in Vegas, but at any rate, we saw her. But Marie, let's do it. Let's pre-record. Let's do it. Like you, Louisa, Marie's been here from the very beginning, like Carla, like Jonathan, like you guys. And this one's for you. So let us know what you're celebrating. Let us know what communities you're doing. Jonathan and Mimi have an amazing podcast called Coffee Social, and they're in their 3rd season. You'll see also as Louisa's saying, we've learned to shout each other out, to light each other up, because sometimes we're in danger of our lights being extinguished. We lose the strength for our voices. Martha led an amazing conversation in Social Saturday chat, and you'll love it because on LinkedIn, you can catch the repeats, the replays. You could be team replay, you could be team live. And the conversation was about the difference between men and women and how we communicate.
Mhm.
It gets complicated, Louisa. How do we keep it simple? Because you've got some amazing tips across cultures. What I love is you remind us, if we're not active and deep listeners, if we're not speaking our native language, if we're creating a celebration that doesn't feel like, as a kid, I would say the United Nations, that doesn't feel global,
Mhm.
that doesn't welcome every single person in the room. Hey, Sean, welcome back. And Sean Michael is another great guest. And Sean picked an amazing song also when he joined us for I'mPossible Live. So I want to toast to our guests, to our listeners, to those catching us on replay, to every amazing guest we've had over the last 3 years. And thank you for complimenting us that we are looking energetic. We hope. It's pretty gray outside. It's been pouring, and we're grateful. We're grateful. So Sean's putting some acronyms in there in the chat. He'll spell them out later because he's looking forward to the next chapter in the book club that he and Kimberly Lechnick have. And Sean, please put a link to join you in the chat. They're reading a book on nonviolent communication, and it's part of a book club. These are things that we see if we don't shout them out
Mhm.
with the invitation. I hope you dance. I hope this lifts you up. I hope it lights you up. I hope it helps you have a conversation. I hope it helps you take a step. How do we keep the pep, Louisa, in the beat? Because you've been in this amazing space for a really, really short time. I'm joking. How do we keep the pep? Other than me, I'm coming for your mezcal mule. I still have the
Oh.
recipe. Mm-hmm. When we have the evening celebration with liquid libations, or in a juice bar for those who aren't indulging with us. How do we keep the pep in the step? How do you stay on the course? Is it family? Is it faith? What kind of keeps you going? Or is it that song You Won't Back Down?
Yeah, I think that song is on repeat in my mind, um 24 hours. But lately I've had the opportunity to deliver some workshops, and this is something that I'm going to do for my students. And I think this is one of the most important things, or powers, that we have today, is the ability to see the perspective of the other, see it from the other perspective, where they are coming from. And we need to be able to create more dialogue spaces, because I think in this country, I think we are trained to, I think the number one mode of communication, especially when we don't agree with each other, is through a debate. And what happens in a debate is, my job is to prove you wrong. So we need to take a step back and invite more perspectives in, and hear from each other, because we each have a story, but our stories are incomplete because and when I'm looking at you or somebody else's story, all I see is a snippet, in a frame. Like I shared with my students the other day, if you're in the supermarket and you see a mother or a parent yelling at a child because the child asked for ice cream, so you may be, wow, gee, she must be really stressed out because the poor child who just wants ice cream. But what you did not see is that child probably asked for ice cream 22 other times and was told no. So we're only seeing that moment, and we have to keep in mind, because we all have different perspectives. We see things our own way. We all have, we see the world through our own lenses. So we need to remind ourselves of that and really take a moment to see the perspective of the other, where they are coming from, and try to create a dialogue space where my perspective, your perspective, somebody else's perspective, they're all true. They all have some, value. Sometimes I tell my CEOs, the right answer. The right answer will really depend on who's in the room. So we have to take that into consideration. I would say that, nowadays we really, really, really need that. See the other, and find ways where we can all bring our perspective together.
Yeah, I love that. And once again, beautiful Louisa, you reminded me of positive intelligence and our pod, so to speak, in our cohort. I named it Kaleidoscope. The reminder to keep shifting the lens. I loved kaleidoscopes when I was a kid. We used to have, dating myself, we had the Polaroids, we had those little viewers, but I loved kaleidoscopes because you could change the tapestry.
Mhm.
You could change the landscape. And I think that's what Louisa's inviting us to do. Carol King tapestry.
Mhm.
And Louisa Kimberly would love your thoughts about their featured text, nonviolent communication.
Are you? I'm not sure I follow that. You
It's a
invite
book.
me?
It's a book.
Okay.
So she's probably inviting you to come hang out in their book club.
Okay.
And Martha's reminding us our stories are incomplete. We do see only the snippets.
Yeah.
We see the pieces, we see the snapshots, we see the videos, we see the shorts, we see the
Mhm.
quotes, we see the sound bites. I was a kid traveling in Manhattan to go to school and worked in the city a lot. And that little ticker tape of what the news is, as Martha's saying, she's really echoing what Louisa's saying. We see the surface. You
Mhm.
know, one of our upcoming guests, Kristen, she has a place called the Listening Space, and she
Mhm.
offered it to us. And it's, do we accept the invitation to come into it? What I loved was accepting the invitation. And I met amazing Kristen in the Positive Intelligence DEIB community of practice. And Kristen sent us this general offer, and I really loved her energy. I just wanted to get a chance to get to know her. For those of us who haven't had a conversation yet, I'm a coffee chat kind of girl. And let's have a chemistry session in some cases to explore synergy, which is something I love doing with clients, where we don't always necessarily fit perfectly, as Louisa's saying. We don't necessarily align the way my fingers are. We don't necessarily knit. We don't always remember to come together, but we need to create the opportunities. I think you reminded me also, and I want to thank you again for your timing as I'm preparing a very short slide deck for identify your trust opportunities next week. You're reminding us, keep it simple, keep it bite-sized, take a step. There's somebody somewhere around the corner, in the chair next to you, in the cubicle next to you, in the car next to you, at the table next to you, that either needs you to pull up a chair or to really see them for a second. And Louisa's reminding us of that beautiful lens. Louisa, other than checking out your next newsletter, which we will, your amazing book that's behind you, the care with which you wrote it to help us in the process of mastering cultural differences. We want to thank you for that grace. Thank you for that space. Thank you, beautiful lady, for being that light. I am ready to come drive, fly, come see Louisa. It's on my bucket list, and I'm adding it to the priority list. So, Louisa, yes, Kimberly's inviting you into their book club. And I really want to close with what Martha said. Our stories are incomplete. We do see only the snippets. Thank you, Louisa, for pointing this out. We see the bits and the pieces. We see the puzzles. We'll never be able to solve the puzzles. We'll never be able to have all the solutions. But we want to thank you for joining us today as I'mPossible Live turns 3, as the number of pre-recorded I'mPossible Lives increases, as I'm planning a summer retreat, as I'm writing a book, as we're traveling more. So I want to keep inviting you in, and please invite others in, whether you're here for your first time, your second, or next week for your 155th I'mPossible Live. But Louisa, thank you for the grace you always bring to every space. Thank you for your brilliance, for your grace, dear friend. Thank you for accepting my invitation to join me on a live that didn't have a name. Thank you for creating a space so I could look at this beautiful magnet that I pulled off during the pandemic for inspiration. And those of you who we hung around during the pandemic, Jonathan would say, my gosh, Mel still has that magnet nearby. Jonathan, I don't think it'll even stick to a refrigerator anymore. Louisa, bless you and thank you. And I hope you'll come back soon, and that it won't take 3 years to get you to come back and join us.
I know.
So maybe let's find a date to come back after your next newsletter. We'll continue this discussion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would love to. And thank you for the invitation. Thank you for bringing such a gracious hostess and with a phenomenal audience. Somehow I'm not able to put any comments, to use the comments, but, find me on LinkedIn, find my newsletter, and let's keep the conversation going. We need
Louisa, we are
like
tagging you everywhere. And in every tag, you'll be able to get back to some of these amazing comments. Send Louisa friend requests, subscribe to her newsletter, share it with somebody in a workplace who can accept an opportunity for a culture shift and listen to her beautiful, vibrant voice. And thank you all for joining us today for celebrations, as Christopher Johnson helped me tap into a fireside version of celebrating I'mPossible Live is 3. And Jonathan, thank you always for encouraging us to share behind the scenes, and Louisa and others for helping keep our hearts centered on our faith walk. For those of you who are still here and have not been here before, I hope you stay safe, stay well, stay inspired, stay in touch. For those of you who are returning, you know how much we mean that. Take great care until we connect again. And if we haven't had a chance, let's book a call sometime soon. Let's stop into our Trust Masterclasses and Audio Leadership Club. Or do what Craig Hauser did, and thank you, Craig. He subscribed to be visible on YouTube. But on that note, thank you. Have a magnificent day filled with opportunities and possibilities. I'm getting a little choked up, so my throat is going. My throat chakra is reminding me, take a break. And let you get on to the important parts of your day. But thank you for joining us for I'mPossible Live. Take care, beautiful. Be safe.